Hi, and welcome to my video on the subject of phantom limb pain. Phantom limb pain is an extraordinary byproduct of having a limb amputated. Right, an honest share here. When I first read about it and when my surgeon first talked about it in detail, you kind of assume that it's a psychological issue. And absolutely foolishly, I thought, well, if it's a psychological thing, then I'll deal with it. I won't get it, or I'll deal with it. And my God, was I wrong. It's a very, very real thing. It's very, very uncomfortable, and it's complex. So it's not just it's not a psychological thing. It's a neurological thing and a psychological thing. The way I've kind of taught myself to understand it can be found in actually just the name of the thing, phantom limb pain. Because if you emphasize the phantom, or if what you see first is the phantom, you assume figment of imagination. So if you say the expression phantom limb pain, then that's what you think. You think it's phantom, it's made up. What I've started to do is to connect the words phantom and limb and talk about phantom limb pain. Because what you have is a phantom limb. It's something that's been attached to your body for, in my case, 54 years, and all of a sudden it's gone. And your body and your brain and your nervous system have to figure all of that out. The best comparison I could think of was, it's like the term ghost written book. A ghost written book isn't written by a ghost, therefore a figment of your imagination. It's written by one real person and then accredited to another real person. It's just that the second real person didn't write the book. And phantom limb pain is the same. It's accrediting pain to a limb that was absolutely real. What's also really important to understand from, I guess, a neurology perspective is that the nerves that went from your foot or your lower leg to your brain are still there. They're still wired into your brain. What your surgeon would have done in removing your leg is shortened those nerves. And in surgery, they do a thing called TMR, which is where they carefully embed the ends of your nerves into the tissue in your residual limb, which in and of itself is designed to minimize phantom limb pain, but certainly minimize the actual pain in your residual limb. So those nerves, wherever they've been placed, still feel something, and they send messages to your brain that they are feeling something, and your brain makes the assumption, like you might make the assumption that a book was written by somebody because their name's on it, that your brain makes the assumption that that sensation is coming from your foot or your leg, and it will interpret it as something. And pain is the most common thing that it interprets it as. So I thought I'd try and find a way to describe or to show what phantom limb pain actually feels like. Imagine that there are two types of phantom limb pain: phantom limb sensations and phantom limb pains. Phantom limb sensations are no less unpleasant than the pains, but they're longer and they feel tangibly like a sensation that your foot would have felt when you still had it. So in order to demonstrate phantom limb pain, I'll create myself a phantom limb. So if you look over there, there's a picture of me with two legs, stood next to my dear friend Luke Thomas, my eldest daughter Kitty's boyfriend. And I've used that picture because, as I said, I've got two legs. So with having two legs, I can command my leg to disappear. So there it goes. And now what I can do is summon up my phantom limb. There it is, my ghostly unpleasant limb. So the second day after my surgery, I woke up in the morning and my foot felt exactly like this. It felt freezing cold, which is not uncommon when you wake up in the morning if your foot's been hanging out of the bed. So what do? You put it back under the duvet and find a warm spot in the bed, or you jump out of bed, go into your sock drawer, get a nice warm sock, and within a few minutes you feel absolutely lovely and snug. But if you've got a phantom limb sensation that is your foot feeling freezing cold, there's pretty much nothing that you can do about it in that moment. I think the next morning I woke up and I felt like this. I felt like, you know, when you see a football with a round ball, that is, going down with cramp, and another player will come and bend their foot back to release the cramp in their calf, for instance. Well, that's all well and good. Apart from the fact that I didn't have cramp, I just felt like someone was bending my foot back really, really hard and my toes back really hard. Nothing you can do about it. You can't ask them to stop. You can't get out of bed and stamp it out of your foot. Nothing you can do about it. And then the third sensation, limb sensation that I had, and I felt that this was very much the worst. And it kind of felt a little bit like this. It felt like, so I'm a size 10 shoe, it felt like my foot had been squashed into a size 6 shoe. And even that shoe was getting progressively tighter. Felt like the circulation was being squeezed out of my foot. Kind of like when you're on an aeroplane and you've been on it for several hours and you have to put your shoe on when you get before the plane lands, and you're like, I can't get my foot into my own shoe because it's swollen. It was really really unpleasant. So those limb sensations, there is one thing that you can do, of course, to make them go away, and that is to get out of bed, to get on your crutches, to get in your wheelchair, to go to the kitchen and wander around, distract yourself from them, and you will find that they do decrease or go away. A couple of mine really did stick around. The tight shoe thing stuck around for several minutes, maybe even longer, maybe an hour. So, you know, I got up at 5:30 in the morning and made a coffee to try and just distract myself from it. So they're unpleasant. Then the pains, phantom limb pains, are sharp, sudden, unexpected pains. Sometimes it's one, sometimes it's 2 or 3 stabs of that pain. And I actually watched a video of another amputee on YouTube saying, it's like all of a sudden I've got Tourette's, because I'll be sitting on the bus and suddenly go, ah, ow, and I'm doing that in the middle of the night. I've also kind of figured out that the pains are all slightly different, and I've kind of allocated the pains to various things. So this is one for sure. Getting bashed in the shin by a claw hammer. This is one also. getting smashed in the shin or the leg with an axe. And then the next one is this. Being repeatedly punched in the leg by a heavyweight boxer. And the last one is being booted in the leg by someone wearing large Doc Martin or hobnail boots. So I'm now able to say it's the hammer, it's the axe, it's the boxing glove, it's the boot, when the nature of those pains are different. So yeah, I mean, it really is quite something, and I was such an idiot to think that I wouldn't be affected by it. So what can you do about it? So there's a few things, and there's a lot written about phantom limb pain, and it really is worth kind of digging into it. And it's written by people talking about neurology, psychology, and so on, physiology. But what I would say is that whilst it is very much a neurological problem, I think there are most likely psychological ways of dealing with it. And I'll give you my best example. So when I get the phantom limb sensations, now what I'm doing is, if it's in the night, I turn the light on and I look down at the place where my leg used to be, and excuse my language here, but I'll say out loud, you're not fucking real. You're not fucking real. Leave me alone. Go away. It's kind of like just continuing the theme. It's like when the ghost theme. It's like when someone moves into a new house and they think that there's a ghost in it, and they'll announce that they need the ghost to leave, that it's their home now. I mean, it's essentially the same. But do you know what? It does kind of work, because what you're showing your brain is that your foot isn't really there. It doesn't mean it doesn't come back. It doesn't mean that it doesn't come back really quickly, but it kind of does mean that you can negate it a little. You can slow it down. You can push it back in that moment. So I've been doing that a lot. That leads me on to a therapy that is often used with phantom limb pain. It's called mirror therapy. I'll put a link in about that. It's essentially another methodology of tricking your brain. You lay down, they put a long mirror reflecting your real leg, and then you kind of apply real sensations to your real leg and so on. I'm explaining it really badly. But again, it tricks the brain such that it rewires it to understand that that leg is no longer there. Your doctor will help you with it, and your doctor will medicate for it. And I don't know, if I wasn't on the nerve pain medication that I'm on, whether my phantom limb pain would be much worse and so on. But for sure, speak to your doctor about it. And then there's one other thing that I'm going to try, and I'm actually going to try it this week, and that is acupuncture. Anyone that knows Mary and me will know that we swear by acupuncture for all manner of ailments and illnesses. And I've got a good friend who is an extraordinary acupuncturist. So she is kindly going to come and see me on Thursday in the house, and through a combination of the kind of breathing exercises and acupuncture, see if we can't get to the bottom of my phantom limb pain. She will not be sticking needles in my recently amputated leg, taking a slightly more whole of body neurological approach to it. But I'll report back as to whether that works, whether that's useful or not. So just to finish off, if you're not an amputee and you ever hear an amputee talking about phantom limb pain, it's absolutely real, and it's a pain in the arse. So offer them your sympathy and support. If you are a recent amputee, then I have had some success in dealing with it in a kind of mind over matter way. But I absolutely recognize that it is unpleasant, and it disrupts your sleep and so on. And I'm going to try as many options as possible to see if I can't control it. And as and when I do, I'll let you know whether and what has worked. And all that's left to say is, phantom limb pain, you're a scary movie.